Well, hello. We're going behind the Iron Curtain. Some of you may be actually too young to remember the Iron Curtain, but when I was growing up, there was the West and the East in Europe. And the East was behind the Iron Curtain, and those were the Soviet-dominated countries, and the West was all the US-dominated countries. Germany, as a result of adventures in World War II, ended up being split, so there was an East Germany and a West Germany. West Germany was dominated by the US. East Germany was dominated by the Soviet Union. There is no more Soviet Union, and Germany has been unified. In fact, when I was in 8th grade, I remember watching the news when the Berlin Wall fell, which probably tells you my age. This is an East German pen from the 1970s. It is a Markant m7720. It is actually modeled after the Mont Blanc Noblesse Oblige, which I may have mispronounced because I don't know how to say that word real well. But I looked it up. It definitely does look a lot like that pen, although that pen has a Mont Blanc at that end, not a black plastic thing. And there are some gold nibs and such, not steel nibs. But this is an interesting steel nib. Now, it came as a set. I'll show you the case here. This is the original case. It's just a plain plastic case with a little bit of 70s doodads to it. Open it up. There's a, I want to call it velour, but a blue plastic velour. It was supposed to hold the two pens, but one of the little clippy doodles that holds the fountain pen fell apart. There is a ballpoint included. It's just a regular clicky one. The original refill is in the pen, but of course, after I don't care whether it's an Eastern or Western pen, ballpoints don't last that long. But they include, the company, which is myuberpens.com, included a refill, so I could use the ballpoint if I wanted to lower myself to that, but I don't use ballpoints unless I have to. We'll talk about the fountain pen. So the fountain pen itself, the fountain pen is an aluminum pen, but what's unique is it's very deeply brushed. I mean, this has deep, deep texture. And then it's, I guess, plated with silver. I can't make this pen look dirty. This pen is going to look clean forever. Snap cap. Has a very flexible steel nib. We'll talk about that. Very deeply brushed grip. I've said before I don't like metal grips. This grip is not bad because I don't slip off of it and I don't slime it with my sweaty hands and fingerprints and such because you can't see them. Now, one complaint I have right here is the step up from the grip to the barrel is very sharp, which makes this pen unsuitable for long sessions of writing. The feed is bent, which I think is by design, and I did have to do some fooling around to get that bugger to work. It's a cartridge converter pen. It does not come with a cartridge or a converter. I installed a converter that I had drifting around the house, so there is that. So I like it as a converter. Now, in honor of communism, I have chosen to use Noodler's Nikita Red, which Nathan Tardif is probably going to crawl through the computer and attack me for this, putting his ink in a communist pen. But anyway, let's check her out. I think one of the things this pen does well is flex. Now, don't expect while we're flexing a lot of line variation, however. A little bit. You can see that the nib moves a bit, but again, I don't like to push it, and with a 1970s pen from a communist country that no longer exists and the company no longer exists, I know I can't replace it if I ever do damage this guy. So I am going to be very careful of this pen. And honestly, because of that sharp step, it's not like I'm going to be writing with this pen all that often anyway. That was a nice close-up of the writing, but I like to do a smear test. Wetness and flow. No problem keeping up. This is actually a surprisingly good writer. You know, I have my feelings about communist countries, and so I was kind of excited to get hold of this pen. Let's see, reverse writing. It does it. It's a very fine writing. Not too scratchy. It does seem to be running out of ink though, but whatever. I don't reverse write if I don't have to. So very impressive that way. Now it is a little bit smaller pen. We'll do our size comparison right now, just because I thought of it. It's much narrower than a Noodler's Conrad as far as length capped. It's about, I'd say 1/8 of an inch shorter. Uncapped will go 5/8 of an inch shorter. And posted, don't post this pen, but it does snap to post, which is nice. Doggone, it's about the same length as a Noodler's Conrad, although skinnier. All right, so let's move on to our quote. I am very impressed with how smoothly it writes. What a nice nib it has. A little bit fragile on the nib. The rest of the pen is pretty robust. I'm impressed with how steady the flow is. All things I wouldn't have expected. Would I buy this pen again? It's definitely unique. I will never be getting rid of it. But at the same time, it's not a spectacular pen because it's very uncomfortable to write with. I'm not going to be inking this pen up very often just because it's so uncomfortable. So I'm keeping track of the time. So I will probably not buy another one. That said, if I lost it, I would probably cry. It does represent an era to me that I lived through the tail end of it. I don't have too much else to add to it. I am very impressed with how clean and crisp it looks, and the fact that it will keep looking crisp and clean. And yeah, so I thank you for watching. If you would like more pens from a North Dakota perspective, subscribe below, and we'll see you later.